Well, I've said this before on this show. It's not fun living in a deep red or blue state during presidential primary season because there's just not a lot of interest, not a lot of things to talk about. And of course, we're right in the middle of early voting for Tennessee's presidential primary. And the presumed nominees are going to be Trump and Biden, unless Haley pulls off some sort of miracle here in the next few days. But nonetheless, there's one homeowner in Lakeland who's just not happy about either choice, and she's making her opinions known. There you see the sign. We've blurred out the F word there, but you get the idea. Let's listen to Zaria Oates' report from earlier this week about what's going on in Lakeland.
The sign policy is unconstitutional for the city of Lakeland.
Julie Pereira has appeared before Lakeland Municipal Judge Kim Karatsky twice now for yard displays. Once for this Christmas decoration, a reference to one of her favorite Christmas movies. And now for this sign with some profanity showcasing a political stance in the upcoming presidential election.
I'm not afraid to say what I stand for and what I believe in.
The city of Lakeland cited her $50 a day for 5 days of having the F them both sign in her front yard. They say it violates the City of Lakeland Municipal Code 14-405 under prohibited signs and devices. And it actually does. Pereira says the ordinance violates her First Amendment rights.
I was up there, telling him that, look, sir, based on all of this information, Your Honor, you're incorrect.
Since she's paid more than $400 and covered the letter U with tape, the city stopped citing her. However, the ordinance still stands, and some neighbors say they're glad it does.
It has implied expressive language that I feel is inappropriate for younger people.
I'm all about complying, I'm all about rules, I'm all about regulations, but I'm not about complying with rules and regulations that violate my rights and that violate the Constitution.
A neighbor in agreement with Pereira texted, "It's a slippery slope when the city starts sticking their nose in what people can and can't do with their own private property."
There are rights that should be protected, but that doesn't give us license to act in an immoral or inappropriate way, especially regarding children around the area.
You can disagree with somebody but still understand, look, I don't agree with that. I personally find it offensive, but that's well within their rights.
That was Zaria Oates reporting. So Julia went on to say that she doesn't want to sue the city because that will just cost Lakeland taxpayers more money to fight it. However, if they continue to pick up, finding her again, it could be an issue and she will sue, but she wants to keep that sign until after the November election in her front yard. What's your thoughts about this story, Deidre?
I love this story, and it's her First Amendment right to have free speech. And, if I'm an alderman in Lakeland and I may say a cuss word, are they going to fine me $50? Mm-hmm. Probably not. So it's her yard. She ought to be able to put whatever she wants in her yard. I think right on.
You had the gentleman there in that story, a neighbor, I assume, who has kids, because we did show several shots of school buses.
Like his kids probably had never heard it. Okay. Yeah, somebody's heard it. My kids heard it.
It's a fascinating classic free speech debate, isn't it?
It is.
That was fun. That's my take. That was fun to watch.
It's a great story.
Otis.
Well, first of all, I'm no lawyer. My daughter, Mary Elizabeth, is a darn good one. You notice I did say darn.
Yes.
You could have gone a little farther.
I'm keeping it
The
clean
rules are
here.
listening up a little bit.
But Ms. Pereira is absolutely protected by the First Amendment here. There is a Supreme Court case from 1971, Cohen versus California, in which a guy went into a courtroom. He was a Vietnam War protester, and he had F the draft on his coat, and they arrested him. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court judge in 1971 was John Marshall Harlan II. And he said emphatically that he was protected by the First Amendment, no matter how vulgar you think it is, because the sign wasn't threatening anybody, and it was not obscene. It might have been vulgar. And the great line from that Supreme Court opinion was, one person's vulgarity is another person's lyrics. So she is absolutely protected by this.
And she knows it.
And she
I
knows
think the judge knows it too.
And
That's
if
why
it
the
has
fines
to go
have
to
stopped.
court, Lakeland's going to lose.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Do you feel at all for the neighbors with the kids who might have to explain the sign to
Absolutely, I
their
do.
young ones?
Absolutely, I do. But I would explain to my child or my grandchild, you know, this is not appropriate for you, but she's an adult and she's well within her rights to put what she wants in her yard.
And yes, that is how it's
Yeah.
that is how it's spelled.
Absolutely.
And you know, we've seen the polls, 70% or so of Americans really wish it was not a rematch
Well, that's
of Biden
probably
Trump.
true.
So she's speaking for a lot of people too.
Well, she is.
Absolutely.
Probably. So anyway, well, that's all we have time for. I appreciate all three of you for being here and talking about a variety of topics. Thanks for your big contribution, Sam. Once we got through your story, you were done. Okay.
Right.
And we thank you at home as well. We'll see you next week for ABC24 This Week.